Thank you to our sponsor, MBA Growth Partners.
Welcome to Studio 501c3. I'm your host, Kim Jones, CEO of the Nonprofit Village, which incubates and increases capacity for charitable organizations. The show features nonprofit organizations that provide essential programs and services. They're charities the IRS designates as 501c3 because they provide a public benefit, and in most cases, your donations to them are tax deductible. We're a proud partner of Montgomery Community Media. MCM is your public access resource on the information and programs relevant to Montgomery County. Today, I have the pleasure of talking with Paula Moore, the founder and director of the Interplay Orchestra. The Interplay Orchestra is 25 years old. It's a nonprofit music organization of more than 60 adult musicians with and without cognitive and other disabilities, all performing together for the community in concerts, sometimes at the world-class Music Center at Strathmore. Paula, thanks for being on the show.
Delighted.
Great. So now I've heard about you over the years. I've read your story in different articles. I remember reading about you some time ago when you were the Washingtonian of the Year. You're such a fierce advocate for people with disabilities, and I think that is so important in making our society more inclusive. I think it's coming to the forefront. So I'd like you to really start today by telling us a little bit more about the motivation behind your design of the Interplay Orchestra and anything that you can share about the musicians.
Well, that's quite easy for me to do. I have 3 sons, all of whom are quite musical, and the youngest, Michael, is a kiddo with Down syndrome who plays the cello. Yes.
Nice.
Yes. And 31 years ago, when I was thinking about music, as I always do, because I grew up as a musician myself, it occurred to me that folks with cognitive disabilities at a certain level could make music and should make music. And so that is basically what happened as to how I started the Interplay Orchestra. So I want to read you a little blurb about how we say it to people who don't know who we are and don't know what we do.
Okay.
Interplay Company brings seamless, serious music events to the wider community, performed by adult new musicians with cognitive and other disabilities, and those traditional musicians without. And most importantly, to give and receive the gift of sweet applause. Interplay Orchestra Band, about 60 to 65 orchestra members, provides an extraordinary life-changing project for both adults with cognitive disabilities and those without. It originated with a question and continues to ask that question today. If music is the fundamental force within us all, why are some of us prevented from ever learning and playing it in private, let alone in public? The gifted and glorious composer Gustav Mahler often said, "The best of music is not found in the notes." So again, we ask, where is it? And that's how
very powerful.
That is how we structured what it is that we do.
Well, and it's a very, and it encapsulates everything. The reason, as well as what you do. So the what and the why.
The what we do is the easiest part is to provide rehearsals every week throughout the year, because music is tricky, and we are playing it, as I said, from beginning to end with all the notes. A piece of music could have 20 pages, and we're playing 20 pages worth of notes. Wow. And we're playing with serious musicians. So we rehearse throughout the year. And we have very serious, almost 2-hour rehearsals every week. And we perform 3 major concerts a year.
That's pretty rigorous. Can I ask you what kinds? Can you share a little bit about what kinds of music or the types of genres of music? Because I know you're all over the place.
We play, as I love to say, everything from Bach to Basie. So if you put that in and think about it, there isn't anything that we don't play. That's the best way to answer that question.
Wow. But you also have guest performers. I've read about
we do.
guest performers coming and working with your musicians.
Well,
how does that work? Tell us how you get people to come.
Okay, my marvelous music director, Paul Bankser, and I get inquiries and calls from other musicians all over the country who call me and call Paul and say, "Can we come play with you?" Mm-hmm. And we put them right in and we rehearse. And there we are in concert with very, very well-known, highly regarded musicians.
Who are some of your guest performers that you've also had?
Oh my goodness, you're going to ask me that question, and I can't.
You know what?
It doesn't come so quickly.
Okay. That's okay. Tell me, because we've got just a minute or so before we go to a break. Tell me about the Band-Aids.
Oh, okay. Band-Aids are folks with a musical education. They are senior high school, college, and semi-professional musicians who play with us every week. They come to rehearsals. If they're needed, they work with a particular musician who might need a leg up or an arm up, since we're playing instruments.
Right.
And that's who the Band-Aids are. And it's spelled Bandaids, Band-Aids.
AIDS, Band-Aids.
One word.
Yeah, one word. Yeah, that's great. And just real quick, do you happen to have, because you're a performer also, do you happen to have a favorite genre of music, or do you just love all?
I love all music. I am crazy about the blues. The New Orleans, spend a lot of time at New Orleans jazz fests, and I love that sound. That sound that comes from deep within, I guess is the best way to describe that music.
Well, yeah, and it's music for the soul.
It is indeed.
It is music for the soul. All right, we're going to take a very short break, but when we come back, we're going to talk a little bit more about the musical experience of Interplay Orchestra. So, Paula, hold tight. Studio 501c3 on Montgomery Community Media. We'll be right back.
Today, I'm going to talk to you about physics. Come on in, girls. Let's go. This is the first rocket to get humans to Mars.
Really tall.
I'm a rocket structural engineer, designing and building parts of the rocket. You are the generation that will be stepping foot on Mars. Do I have a group of astronauts on my hands?
Yes.
You can become a rocket scientist or whatever else you want to be.
Can I get the now bar, please?
$1.
Have a good one. Got it.
Hey, what's going on?
Hey.
Let me get a now bar.
Sure. $1.
Appreciate you.
You got it.
There are 16 million children struggling with hunger in America. This is a serious problem, but one we can solve. Visit feedingamerica.org to help. Together we can solve hunger. Together we're feeding America.
Welcome back to Studio 501c3, your resource on exceptional nonprofit programs in Montgomery County. I'm talking with Paula Moore, the founder and director of Interplay Orchestra. So we were talking about music for the soul, but the orchestra members that you have also don't always learn to read and play music in a conventional way.
Right.
And I think you have a different way, you've established a different way of teaching these techniques. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Well, not being a teacher, that was not in any way my background. I had to figure out how we were going to do this. And it occurred to me that the more they played, the more they listened, and that's the most important thing. Folks with cognitive disabilities don't always listen And so we had to instill that into each one of our folks, no matter what their cognitive level is. And by listening to how we're playing and what we're playing, they pretty much get it. I think it astounded me at the beginning how quickly they got it. We would play a piece of music once or twice and gazoom, there they were, all playing it the third time without a problem. And I think it astounded a lot of people who came in to watch what we were doing, including very professional musicians from different levels, from different countries, who basically stand there with their mouths open, not understanding how we can do this.
Well, it talks to, we often talk about people with disabilities, and it speaks to the ability
Indeed.
of people.
Always.
To their ability. And it's a wonderful way. It's a music, and this musical performance is such a great way for people to be able to express themselves.
And they love playing, and they love wearing their blacks for when we do our concerts.
Oh, right.
And everybody is smiling and happy, and very few mistakes are made.
Right.
And the audiences they can't believe what they're seeing. So many of people come into our performances as naysayers, and I turn around and I look at them, because of course I'm conducting, and when I finish, or Paul is conducting, and when I finish, I turn around and look at the audience, and they're applauding, and the looks on some of their faces are priceless.
Yeah. Well, I want to ask you, because you had mentioned earlier about some of the musicians, everybody from high school to college and beyond,
right,
that come and they become volunteers to perform with and to help. So that's great that you have these people that have the musical ability. But what happens when you don't have a person with musical ability and they really want to volunteer in some way? Can they help to promote the organization? Can they help with marketing? Are there other opportunities if people go to your website?
Sure, they just need to go to the website, get in touch with me, and I will plug them into one of their strengths.
Okay.
Obviously, the folks that work directly with the musicians have to have a musical background. It's very important.
Right.
And the other thing that's important is most of our musicians do not work with a Band-Aid. They come in and we've been incredibly lucky in all of these years. They pick up what they're supposed to do, what they need to do, and they don't need help. They just do it, which is the amazing part. And that's why the audience members sit there and shake their heads, because they can't believe what they're hearing or seeing.
Right. Well, and I'm familiar with you. It's been almost 8 years, but I did have a former student of mine that was a volunteer with you for a long time. So very familiar. So we're almost out of time here. We've only got about a minute left. Can you tell me if there is any other vision that you have in store for the future?
I would like to increase the kinds of music that we haven't played in a while. There are many musical suites out there that would be tricky to tackle, and I'd like to plug that in.
Okay. All right. Well, Paula, we're out of time. This has been a great conversation.
I have so enjoyed it.
Yeah, and I want to thank you for sharing this information with the audience. There's a ton of information on your website. So if you are interested in more information about Interplay and the orchestra, visit their website at interplayorchestra.org, and you'll see it on your screen as well. Paula, thank you again for being here.
Thank you, and please continue to come to our concerts.
We'll make sure to get that out. I'm Kim Jones. Thanks for joining us, and see you on the next edition of Studio 501c3 on Montgomery Community Media.